let's take a dive into Milan Systemic Therapy. This was actually one of my favorite models. That and this and the classic strategic therapy model. So it's kind of a bit of information, a lot of information from Milan, but we are going to do the early Milan group for the core, and then I'll talk about the late Milan because it's not really a big of a difference, but I can add some of that in there as well. But let's take a look at the role of the therapist. So it's the Milan group, right? And we know that they were there using what? The mirror method, non-directive, and these are your theorists that you see before you. I will not attempt to pronounce these names because I do not want to sound incorrect, but these are your theorists before you, and the role of the therapist is what? Neutral, hypothesizing. This therapist never ever took sides. Neutral. I want to see what this one thinks like. I want to hear how this one feels about this standpoint. Never took sides, but they did have a lot of phases to their therapy sessions though. And then when we talk about the assessment phase, it started with a phone call, right? And that phone call helped them lead to figuring out what it was going to be like for that pre-session. So even with that phone call, they're discussing basic information, what's the problem, what's going on, what do you all think the problem is, what their expectation of therapy was going to look like, and then later on that would help the therapist, help with the pre-session as to what they deemed was going to work, what wasn't going to work, and what they felt like was actually going on with the family, right? Your goals of therapy for Milan is just having the family adjust to new information and beliefs. It's not more so about, oh, you need to change, you need to do this. It's adjusting to the new information and beliefs and a new meaning to the family system in order for it to function in a healthy way. So it's not all about, oh, this is the problem, it needs to be fixed. It's like we need to just a new meaning to this family system. We need to find a healthier way for us to get along with each other, per se, right? And then the way that you do that, you're looking at what? You're looking at an alternative of explanations to things. Well, I see that you have this problem, but how does it work with the system? Let's reframe it in a way so that it works with the system. It's not just a problem. This behavior that you have, it's serving as a function within the system. That is what Milan thought, right? They encourage the other family members. I need to see perspectives from other people. It's not just from me, because what I'm saying may not be true, but I need to hear it from other people. I need to see things and how this issue is or this problem is from the other family's eyes, from the other family's standpoint, rather than us being just stuck on, this is what it is, my sister got a problem and she needs to get her shit together. That's not how it was, because then, as you see my example, my son is just so rebellious. But then the therapist is going to be like, well, how does your son's behavior help to avoid other things in the household? It's like, what did you not hear me say that my son, he don't do nothing I tell him to do? But obviously his behavior serves a function, right? We just need to reframe the behavior as a function of the system rather than a problem. We're just reframing it as it being functional, as it's being used. There's a reason for it versus it just being a problem. That's Milan. That is the goal of therapy for Milan. Who's involved in therapy? As many family members as possible who is directly related to the issue. But this is a kicker. Get this. 10 sessions a month held apart, and even if that issue or that whatever it is that was going on wasn't where it was supposed to be, therapy was ending. So now you've wasted 10 months of therapy and you still get to the end and be like, well, what did I learn? I don't see any changes. Therapy ended regardless of if it was finished or not. Sorry, I mean, that's what a Milan therapist would do. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts, the therapy structure. And it is a lot, so keep up with me. If you want to pause the video, and screenshot the screen or whatever, but you don't have to. Just send me a message. I can send it to you. You don't have to do that. But if you want to pause the video and take a look at it and familiarize yourself with the therapy structure, then that's fine. But we are going to go through this together, so just listen to the sound of my voice. The words on the screen are just simply there so that I don't forget anything, right? So the therapy structure, the Milan therapy structure is kind of different from other model structures of therapy, right? So you have the pre-session. That's the hypothesizing, right? Remember we talked about the assessment phase, and that was going to help that therapist, right? They need to formulate a hypothesis, and they meet together as a team before they meet with the family. That phone call told them what the problem was, expectations of therapy. So now, okay, let's hypothesize what's going on with this family and let's see how we can help them, right? So they're going to be focusing on what? Presenting problem, family roles, who does what, who has control, who doesn't have control. How do you talk to each other? Are you yelling at each other? Are you yelling and then the other person yells? Are you escalating? Does one withdraw? The communication patterns that's going on. And then the next phase is going to be the session. This is when the therapist is going to meet with the family, let them know about what? They're going to let them know about, okay, so this is what we have. This is what we thought about. This is what we have here. And then they're going to start doing what? Based on a hypothesis, this is going to be them checking the hypothesis with the family. Is what I'm saying true? Is what I'm saying holding any weight? Is that how it's going to be? And at that moment, they're probably going to be using some circular questions, trying to figure out, again, communication patterns, right? And those circular questions are what? Just the questions for us to just get a feel for how other people are viewing things, getting it seen through the other eyes and not just your own, right? So the goals of the session phase is we need to be exploring some of these feedback loops that's going on. Gather data. We need to revise the hypothesis if we were wrong, and then we go back and then we do it again, right? But then at the same time, the therapist is going to remain neutral and non-directive. We're not strategic therapists. We're not telling you what to do. Hey, this is what we're noticing. You all are hearing the circular questions that we are using. Pay attention to it, because when you go back home, we're not going to be there, right? And then you have the intercession. This is where, again, they're going to go back and consult with the observing team. What patterns did they see when they was doing the session? Is it a shift in the hypothesis? Did the hypothesis change? What interventions, if any, do they think needs to be used? So this is them now talking about the interventions that we're going to have to use for the next phase, which is the what phase? The intervention phase. So when they come in for the intervention phase, they're doing what? They're using the intervention, whether if it's going to be a positive connotation, a paradoxical intervention, or they may use a reframe or a ritual to have them to perform in between sessions, right? So the interventions that they're going to be using is meant to do what? It needs to disrupt some of the patterns that are going on, right? To get to that goal, adjusting, right? To new beliefs, to a new meaning. We have to shift that meaning, and the interventions are going to be used to do that, right? So then the post session is just what? The team, again, is just going to debrief, and then they're going to revise again, and then they're going to come back and they're going to do this stuff all over again. That's the Milan phases of therapy. It's quite a long process because you only meet once a month for 10 months. 10 sessions is all that you get, right? And then we look into what some of the major key terms of Milan family therapy. If you want to pause the screen and look at the information, please go ahead and do so, but you do not have to. Just listen to the sound of my voice, and I promise you I will try my best to make it make sense. So Milan is all about systemic thinking. That is not one individual person. That is the entire family system. No one person is the cause of what's going on. Each member's behaviors affects another person and vice versa. That's how it happens with the circularity, right? It's going to be how one person anxiety can lead to the other person to withdraw, and then the other person's anxiety is going to continue to increase. That is circularity. That is how that goes. It's like a loop, and it's just going to come right on back around to the person that I begin with. The same way when you think about circular questions, right? This is when we're asking questions to explore the relationships, the perceptions, some of the things that may be different in other people that the other person seems to think it's not true, right? So now we need to see, like, I look at it from my eyes, like, this is what's going on. It's not all about all the time what you say or how you feel. It can be about the other person. It's not just about you, right? So then one of the questions that you might see something similar, when your daughter stays silent during dinner, how do her other siblings usually respond? So right there, it's like a ping pong effect, right? I'm asking you, but I'm talking about somebody else. If that makes sense. I'm asking you, but I'm talking about somebody else, right? So then hypothesizing, it's about how, it's the ideas, it's the things of the observing team. They seem to think what's going on with the family before and also during sessions. They will hypothesize. My philosophy is, and I do it a lot, all good clinicians hypothesize. If you are not hypothesizing, then what are you doing? I do it all the time, and I will ask my clients, like, would you say that it is true that, and that's me hypothesizing. And I tell my clients straight up, you and I will hypothesize together. You will always tell me if I'm right or wrong so that we know what it is that we need to do moving forward, right? And then when you look at the neutrality, not taking sides. We're not judging anyone. We're not telling somebody you're wrong, you're right. He's not listening to you. I understand how you feel. No, we're not. We're neutral. We do not take sides. A Milan therapist does not take sides. Positive connotation. This is just you reframing that problem, that behavior that you view as the problem, into something positive, or you're looking at it in a way to see that it functions with the system. You're not viewing it as it being a problem. It's functioning as the system, right? It's a part of the system, but we just need to see, like, it's not a problem. It's just, it's just a part of the system. It's just functioning. So we're going to look at it in a positive way. And the example is, a child's tantrum might be framed as a way of keeping parents emotionally engaged. Okay, we can say that because if you look at it, the child is yelling, hollering, and crying, but then you have the parents there. They're going to be emotionally engaged with him as long as he's crying and he's hollering. But at the same time, isn't it a problem that this child is crying all the time just to keep us emotionally engaged? That's all that means. Like, it's a problem, but it's a function of the system, and it's just a reframe, looking at it in a positive way, right? I love Milan. I hope each and every one of you have gained some insight from this model and have a better understanding of this model. Remember, the goal of Milan is to do what? We are adjusting beliefs. We are creating a new meaning to the family system. We're not being so stuck on, like, oh, this is the problem, you're the problem, we need to change this. No, we're just introducing new meaning by doing what? Utilizing reframing. Hey, you know what? I get that or whatever, and I see that that's going on, but it's a function to it, right? He may be crying, but at least when he cries, we're emotionally engaged with each other. He's screaming his ear off, but we're emotionally engaged with each other. That's how you're going to look at it, right? And then you got the circular questions. I'm asking about you, but I'm asking somebody else. I'm talking about that behavior that you keep doing, but I'm going to ask somebody else about it and see how they feel. That's circular questioning, right? But then you have that circularity where it's like, oh my God, I'm so anxious. Do you love me? Yes or no? Can you please tell me that you love me? But then the other person is like, oh, just give me some space. You're doing too much right now. And then now I'm even more anxious because why won't he answer my question? He never answered my question. Circularity. It's like coming around in the loop, right? But then when we think systemically, Milan therapists, everyone is a part of the system. There is not one person that is identified patient. There's not one person that seems to think that you're the cause of this problem right now. You're the reason as to why we're in therapy. Nope. Everyone is a part of the system, and your behavior affects this person, that affects this person, and that person. Circularity as well. Alrighty. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave a message, leave a comment, message me on Facebook. I am available to each and every one of you at all times. I hope I make sense as I am explaining this model. I hope each and every one of you have a good night. To my testers in the morning, I will be talking to you all in the group. I will talk to you all later.